to the Work Trends podcast brought to you by Talent Culture. I'm your host, Megan M. Bureau. Every week, I interview smart people reimagining the world of work. Be sure to stay current with all of our interesting podcasts by visiting our page at Talent Culture Work Trends on Apple Podcast or Spotify. And of course, you can listen at talentculture.com on the podcast page. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Talent Culture Work Trends podcast, sponsored by SAP Concur. I'm your host, Megan M. Bureau, and today we are looking at the world of business travel and addressing pain points that are sure to resonate with you. We are going to dive into research and discuss the state of business travel today, as well as reveal ways to overcome common obstacles faced by travelers and travel planners. We are so glad you're here. But before we begin today's podcast, please go ahead and ask yourself these two questions. Number one, how often do you travel for business? And number two, what do you think is important when planning business travel in today's environment? Joining us today is Jen Moyes from SAP Concur. Jen Moyes is Vice President of Product and Head of UX at SAP Concur. She's held leadership positions for SAP Concur and TripIt, a travel organizing app from SAP Concur. For the past, get this, does everybody have their seatbelts on? Past 10 years. She is extremely knowledgeable, and we're lucky to have her here. So hi, Jen. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, we are jazzed about this, and we're kind of ready to go because you and I both know we could talk for hours. So I'm just going to dive right in. To begin, please share a bit about the SAP Concur Global Business Travel Survey. What are you generally looking to uncover in this important research?
Well, I'm so glad you asked. The SAP Concur Global Business Travel Survey is something we conduct every year. This is actually our 6th year conducting this research. And what we're exploring is some of the most pressing challenges that business travelers today are facing. And that includes, of course, the impact of travel disruptions, tighter budgets, and more. So it also gives us a chance to revisit a few of the key themes from our previous surveys so we can see, has anything changed? Where do things stand today? And so a couple of the key themes that we picked up on were flexibility and also employees' perceptions of their equal opportunity to take business trips.
Well, I tell you, it is helpful to start with this current info that we have at our fingertips. Your team does a terrific job assessing the landscape so we can really look at what's happening on a daily basis in the world of travel. So let's go a little bit deeper. What is the overall state of business travel going into 2025 with factors such as the economy, our geopolitical tensions, things like that?
Yeah, you touched on obviously some things near and dear to our hearts. And yes, we are very close to business travel, obviously. Delightfully, what we have seen is that business travel is increasing. We looked at the business travel bookings that flow through our tool, Concur Travel. It's our online travel booking tool. And we found that business travel bookings are actually up this year. Q1, interestingly, was the strongest quarter for business travel in 2024 to date. And what's interesting to us, too, is that this increase in business travel is at least partially driven by the interests of the employees. Our survey found that more than 3 in 4 global business travelers say they just enjoy it. And more than 2/3 of them also feel that business travel is critical for their career advancement. We've picked up on this. It's super interesting. What we've also seen is that perception around career advancement, it differs a bit depending on what generation you're in. The younger business travelers actually find business travel even more important to their career. So Gen Z, we found 72% of our business travelers found travel to be important to their career, whereas boomers say only 58% of them say the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some novelness probably that comes in play a little bit, right? But I tell you, this is very, very insightful. So thank you for sharing sharing just some of these numbers, business travel obviously has never been without its challenges. But I think it's really important to assess what's truly impacting how we're traveling and how to avoid these pitfalls. So let's explore equity in business travel. I think this is a really interesting angle. Like, how does age, status as a parent, or other factors come into play here?
Yeah, you picked up on one of, I think, the more unfortunate insights that we've been finding in our studies. Our research has found that not all employees feel that they have an equal opportunity to take business trips. And given we just said that many of them perceive it to be important to their careers, this is a big deal. So around 2 in 3 global business travelers, we found, feel that they haven't had an equal opportunity to take business trips compared to their colleagues. So you mentioned a few attributes that are important. What we actually found appeared to most influence this perception. Level of seniority, 19% of travelers attributed inequity to that reason. Age, also a primary factor at 18%. And we saw other issues crop up. Status as a parent, where you live, and sadly, physical appearance, gender, even accent, how you present yourself. All of those are perceived to potentially impact those opportunities. You might say, okay, how about gender? How does that play in? And what we found was that more women than men appear to perceive these attributes as being challenging. So more women than men, 20% of women versus 17% of men thought age was potentially a problem. Status as a parent, 17% of women called that out versus 13% of men. And curiously, but maybe not surprisingly, more men say that they've never actually felt that they were challenged in these opportunities for business travel. So 38% of men say not a problem to only 29% of women, right?
Yeah. Well, this is clearly a pretty complex topic. And I have to say, I'm really glad we're taking a moment to address this area of the travel conversation. I mean, I think equity in the workplace is so critical. And I think this is one of those areas that may be nuanced, but very important as a challenge to tackle next. So I appreciate you shedding some light on this. What did your findings reveal about travel itself these days, such as more delays and cancellations, which I just personally went through on my travels to Lisbon, Portugal recently, and, ended up spending the night in Amsterdam unexpectedly. And, a lot of my life and my business had to change for the following week, yada, yada, yada. I'm not alone. I know there's others in our audience here who do travel quite a bit. So how is this changing business travelers' perspectives?
Well, you nailed it. It is changing their perspectives. And I'd say, Amsterdam's not the worst place to have to spend the night, but you didn't want to do that. And we found that nearly 9 in 10 of our business travelers have been forced to take those unanticipated steps. Hey, I had to reroute my plans. I had to change something. I had to deal with an unexpected delay or cancellation. It is disruptive, and it impacts not just the workplace, but also your own morale. You knew yourself. You experienced this. You didn't want to have to spend the night in Amsterdam, no matter how cool it might be. So that's tough. Safety concerns also a really big challenge, and not necessarily that business travelers have experienced safety problems, but they have cited, 44% of our business travelers have cited that safety concerns are a reason that they've declined a business trip. And more than a quarter of our respondents said they're willing to decline a business trip if it's likely to involve delays or cancellations. So a great example might be that you ask me to go travel to the Pacific Northwest today when they're experiencing storms. I'd probably say, no, not so sure I'd like to do that.
I know we're supposed to do, hey, everybody, for the future, like Jen and I may do that. And we may go to Mount Hood and we may go to wine country even. But yeah, now not so much. Because it's all about context, right? I mean, it's a time, it's a place, it's a what I'm feeling, it's what you're feeling. I mean, we're human, right? And I think the data really paints such a great picture here. Tell me, what is something the research revealed that may ignite changes in how business travelers and planners approach future travel?
Well, I think a lot of the impacts that we've just discussed, so thinking about delays and cancellations, thinking about how business travelers perceive opportunities to travel, all of these actually are feeding into and should feed into the way the travelers and also those organizing their trips think about travel ongoing. So when we're thinking about an HR professional hearing some of this data, it calls to mind, hey, these are some alarm bells that might be ringing. You're finding delays and cancellations impacting people's work-life balance. You're finding perceptions of inequity that are making their feelings about work maybe not as positive as you'd like them to be. Now, an HR professional is not the same as a travel manager, but helping those travel managers meet business travelers part way is one real opportunity that we see cropping up from this data. So, of course, controlling costs is always the business priority, but we could influence companies to think about granting customer-focused requests, for example, like allowing overnight trips or maybe paying a little extra for nonstop flights. In some cases, maybe even very long flights. You could get a business class seat, or giving employees the opportunity perhaps to enjoy some blended travel. So if you could add some personal travel days to your business trip, that kind of perk can really make a difference for business travelers and make sense for your bottom line as well.
Now, Jen, I have to ask you, blended traveling is something that I'm personally a fan of, and I do quite often. If I'm doing a business trip, I might be tacking on another 2 days. And of course, in Portugal, duh. But I mean, anywhere around the globe or here in these wonderful states that we live in, right? So talk to us about, we're now looking into the future of work, and I think this is insightful. We all know that current research should really be used to shape future behaviors. And this is such an interesting and great time, I think, to step back and look at what travel can and should be in the near future, like us just talking about generations, right? I'll go back to that for a second. Like blended travel, are there differences in generations that you're seeing in the wants? Yes, the data is telling us this, or no?
We have seen a little bit in the data. I would say we don't have numbers that I can share with you that are saying, hey, this would impact this generation in this way. But we have absolutely seen through a number of surveys, both through Concur and TripIt, that we have a new generation of travelers who, and you mentioned this early in our conversation, they're looking for opportunity. It looks like something very sexy to do, to represent your company with business travel. And so we've certainly seen the theme crop up that younger travelers are looking for more of those interesting opportunities. But there are also, I think, some interesting angles around generational approaches to technology, for example. We are able to offer more technologies to help mitigate some of the risks that we see. So we talked about delays and cancellations. TripIt from SAP Concur, for example, our premium subscription now offers risk alerts, which can give you timely notifications when you're on the road. If there's an incident that might impact your trip, that can help you as a traveler stay ahead of disruptions and make great decisions while you're on the road. To embrace that technology and have that helper in your pocket is something that some travelers are more inclined to embrace than others.
Well, I tell you, Jen, you have queued me up for my very last question for you today. Time flies when we're having fun. What technology or resources should corporate travel departments consider in their roles moving forward? This is a biggie.
Well, I love that you asked this question. As you know, this is near and dear to my heart and has been for quite some time.
Yeah.
So I did speak briefly about HR departments and travel managers working together to think about how they can better support, or best support, I should say, their business travelers when they're on the road. What kinds of resources might they need? And so the first thing to do might be, hey, let's get together and talk to our employees, find out what they're feeling, what kinds of challenges they are facing. Now, on the technology side, of course, we need automated travel solutions. Nobody wants to pick up the phone anymore to do anything, and we want to be as efficient as possible, especially when they're on the road. So, of course, automated solutions can help us manage our bookings, flight, hotel, car HR, and also help enforce the travel policies so that we as travel managers can get to the outcomes that we need, which is looking at the bottom line while also supporting the traveler. So Concur Travel, of course, is an online booking tool that allows travelers to make their reservations and support policy at the same time, also exposing, of course, your negotiated rates and any preferred supplier agreements so that the companies can optimize their spend.
So a transparent move.
A transparent move, make sure that you've got everything right up front so that your employees can self-serve, but they can self-serve within the policies that you need to put forth as a travel manager, and that our HR friends can also be grateful are supporting the traveler on the road.
I mean, talk about some smart technology for the win. I mean, I think this is where you're going to start to see more and more ears perk up. I know every single day I'm talking to practitioners of all shapes and sizes, all generations. And guess what? We want personalization. We want to be seen as the whole human. I know I've been podcasting for a while about this. And, and the days when I was still doing Twitter, when Twitter was still Twitter chats, right? We were talking about that online, right? But we are, at this point, we have the technology. I know your brand has been building this technology for many, many years. You've also been very thoughtful, and that's one of the reasons why I enjoy collaborating with you and the team so much, because it's backed by research and data. And I think this is where, let's be honest, there's probably quite a few organizations of all different sizes who could use a gentle nudge into embracing technology in business travel. But I'm really glad you're here today to provide us some guidance, these examples about setting realistic expectations of what can really change the travel game, because it's time. It really is.
It is. And I want to just follow up your comment about personalization. I think that is, frankly, where technology is headed, needs to head. I couldn't agree with you more. And my role is actually to bring those two things together, bring together the technology with user experience. And when I say user experience, I don't just mean the screens that you interact with, but the full experience. You as a person, you as a traveler, you as an HR professional, as a travel manager, how are you interacting with this software that can make things easier? So we talk a lot about AI. I was waiting for you to say that. I'm sure you're thinking it. AI. What's AI going to do for us, right? AI is amazing because it can help learn what you as a whole person, I'm going to use your words, need, and generative AI. And we can use that to enhance the business travel during every stage of the trip. We could bring smart assistants to bring intelligent recommendations to you about where to stay or what to do next if there's a disruption. And we can even bring those tools to bear when you have a question as a traveler. Hey, can I do this? How much money can I spend? What should I do in this situation? We can leverage these technologies to make you feel better while you're on the road so you can focus on your business trip. That's why you're there, right? Maybe for those extra couple of days too, but that business focus is while you're on the road, and we can really help support that.
Well, and it's about one-stop shopping, isn't it? I mean, if you're running through an airport, how many, and I've got my iPhone. I mean, I want to look in a couple of key places, however that is, smart, intelligent places that I trust, where I can go, okay, there is a ping and this actually means something to me. So there you go. Jen Moyes, you and I could talk forever, and I look forward to doing more of that with you into the future. Thanks so much for sharing your sage with us today.
I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
What a wonderful conversation today. I am so glad we had Jen with us to look at travel as we head into the new year. What I really hope is that there are members of the Talent Culture family, our community, who had a few aha moments that could shift their perspective on business travel for themselves or your teams. Here are a few of my key takeaways. Number one, business travel is drastically impacted by what's going on in the world. Yet the show must go on. If you're in a leadership or planning role for business travelers, be sure to have your finger on the pulse of what's happening in your travel regions. Number 2, consider travel equity as seriously as you look at equity in other areas of the business. Don't be afraid to ask some difficult questions if it's in the best interest of your stakeholders. Number 3, we all took technology leaps years ago when online travel planning became so universally accessible to each of us. That said, it's worth your time to see how travel-related technology has continued to grow and can serve as a time, money, and sanity saver. Jen, thanks again for being here today. We genuinely appreciate your time and your insights. And last but not least, you, the talent culture community, we want to hear from you. Question 1. How are you embracing technology to improve the business travel experience? Question 2. What do you think is a game-changing tip or technique to help make business travel smoother? Question number 3. Do you feel that travel equity is fairly addressed in your organization? Visit us on Twitter, X, LinkedIn, Instagram to share your responses to these questions, or feel free to just hang out with us, talk to us. You can talk to me at Megan M. Bureau on the socials or mbureau@talentculture.com. And as always, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to listen to the Work Trends podcast, the place to find meaningful connections at and about work. If you love what we do here, make sure to share our podcast with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Send us a question on the socials using the hashtag WorkTrends. I'll see you soon. Thanks for joining us for today's conversation. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Just a reminder that you can hear all the Work Trends podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and on the podcast page at talentculture.com. Be sure to subscribe so you can listen on the go and stay up to date on all the latest news you want to hear. I look forward to catching up with you next time. I hope today's information made you wiser, happier, more informed, and most importantly, thinking of how you can use it to improve the quality of your life.